Let me start with some background about my wife and myself. My name is Shane, and I am 45 years old. My wife's name is Carrie, and she is 44. We have been married for 23 years. We have a daughter who is in her last semester of college. Her name is Casey, and she has always been such a blessing in our lives. She will be getting a degree in education and plans on being a math teacher. I grew up on a ranch in a small Texas town. I worked hard on our ranch, but still found time to play sports, compete in rodeos, and of course enjoy the company of the opposite sex. After high school, I went to college to study agriculture. I decided I wanted to be a high school AITA teacher. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so I worked part-time to supplement what they could not provide. My last semester of college, my parents decided they were tired of working, so they sold the ranch and moved to a modest home in town. They got a pretty good sum for the ranch, so that was their retirement income. On their way home from my graduation, they were both killed in a car wreck. It was a one-car rollover due to a blowout. I was an only child, so I inherited the money from the sale of their small ranch. It was around $400,000. I was pretty surprised when I found out how much it was. They never told me. The next couple of months were very hard on me. I really missed my parents, and to have them both die at the same time was very difficult. I worked through my grief and moved on with my life. In August, I received a job offer to teach agriculture science at a high school just outside of Austin. I jumped on the offer because I really wanted to teach, and this looked like a great opportunity. I also decided to take my inheritance and buy this little 25-acre ranch I found outside of town. I built a nice modern log cabin, a horse barn, and a training ring for the horses I would buy. I also invested in some cattle. Now, I won't say that I was actually looking for a wife, but it would be nice to have someone to fall in love with and share what I had. I also wanted kids. It was about a month after school started that I met Carrie. My mentor teacher thought we might hit it off, so she arranged a date. I was skeptical at first, but figured I might as well give it a shot. It had been a while since I had been out, with everything going on. When she answered the door, my jaw dropped. She was incredibly beautiful. I could tell right away I was going to like this girl. We went out to dinner, and then a few drinks at a bar. We talked, we laughed, and we drank. I was so incredibly comfortable with Carrie. We went back to her apartment and sat on her balcony talking. I asked her why someone as incredible and as beautiful as she wasn't married. She said, "Shane, I was about to ask you the same question. You are very handsome, funny, witty, and those incredibly blue eyes and blonde hair make you look so sexy." I blushed and said, "To be honest, Carrie, I have never met anyone that I really wanted to get serious about. Most of the girls I dated were too weird or too flaky to get involved with. You're not like that. There is something about you that really makes me feel different." Well, thanks, Shane. I have the same story. Most of the guys I have dated are morons or perverts. I have never been out with a guy that I wanted to get serious about, at least not until tonight. I turned and looked at her. She looked at me, and we kissed. It wasn't a tongue-digging sloppy French kiss, but a nice soft sweet kiss. We kissed for several minutes. Then I said, "Look, Carrie, I want to see you again. We don't have to be in a hurry for anything, but I would like to see where this goes. I want to really get to know you before well, you know. Shane, you are about the sweetest man I have ever met. You are such a gentleman. Most guys would already be trying to get their hands in my panties." I laughed and said, "I would be lying if I said that thought did not cross my mind. You are very beautiful and so sexy. However, I have a lot of respect for you, even though we just met. I want to develop a relationship, not just a one-night stand." She leaned over and kissed me again. Then she said, "Me too, Shane. You are one of a kind, and I can't wait to get to know you better." Carrie came from a family that did not have a lot of money. They could not afford to send her to college, so she chose to go to a vocational school for administrative secretarial training. She had been working the past few years for a successful small business in Austin. Over the next several months, we got really close and fell in love. It was about 4 weeks after our first date that we first made love. Actually, it was a passionate fuck in the front seat of my truck. We had just been to a movie that had several sex scenes. I'm glad we even made it to the truck. We got inside and started kissing. Did not take long to get started and took long enough to finish. I'm pretty sure the windows were fogged up and the truck was rocking. We both had a mind-blowing orgasm at the same time. Carrie was incredible. She was so passionate and so loud. She was screaming inside the truck. We went to my house and spent the rest of the night making love. It was such a passionate night. We both fell deeply in love that night. We got closer and closer as the next several months went by. We were hardly ever apart. She moved in with me in March. We were married on the 1st of June. A little over a year later, we had Casey. The next 23 years were great. We were a happy family, and I felt like we had a pretty good life. We weren't rich or anything, but we were comfortable. Carrie and I really had a great sex life. She never lost her passion, and neither did I. Now I will admit that for the past 5 or 6 months that we had slowed down, but the passion seemed to still be there, or was it? Here's the situation 23 years later. About 6 months ago, Carrie took a new job as executive secretary for the CEO and owner of BRB Enterprises. Her new boss was Benjamin Brockman, owner of a manufacturing company that produced high-end electronics for the U.S. government. He was a very rich man, so I guess his company was doing quite well. He was the sole owner of the company. Carrie really liked her new job and was always talking about her boss, Ben. I was starting to get a little jealous until I met him. He was 58 years old, balding, and overweight. I looked like a Greek god compared to him. When I asked her about it, she laughed, saying no one could ever compare to you, baby. She always told me how much she loved my giant tool inside her. I figured I had nothing to worry about, so I never gave it another thought until she started going on business trips with him. They would be gone for 2 or 3 days at a time. Again, I asked her about the trips, and she just laughed. Shane, it is just part of my job. I have my own hotel room, and we stay pretty busy taking care of business. I still was a little concerned, but she gave me no reason to doubt her, so I didn't mention it again. That leads me to that fateful Friday. I had come home from school and headed straight for the barn. I had been there about an hour when Carrie drove up. She got out of her car and started walking to the house. I yelled, "Hey baby, I'm just about done here. I will be there in a minute and fix us some steaks for supper. I sure missed you." Carrie had been gone the past 3 days on another business trip with her boss. She looked my way, but only nodded, then walked in the house. I walked in the kitchen, grabbed a beer from the refrigerator, then asked, "Baby, you want a beer or a glass of wine?" "A glass of wine would be nice," she said, as she kept staring at the floor. She had not looked at me yet. I brought her a glass of wine and set the bottle down beside her. She finally looked up at me. I could tell something was on her mind, or something was really bothering her. I gave her a kiss and a hug, then said, "Baby, what's wrong? You look as if something is bothering you. Did something happen on your trip?" Carrie picked up her wine glass and drank the whole thing in one gulp. Then she poured more wine into her glass. She took another sip, but not the whole glass. "Whoa, darling, take it easy. Tell me what's bothering you. It can't be that bad. Shane, I have something serious to tell you, so let me get it all out before you say anything, or I will lose it." "Okay, baby, tell me what is going on." She drank the rest of her wine, then said some words I thought I would never hear. Here's what she said. "Shane, I want you to know that I love you with all my heart. What I am about to say has nothing to do with you being a bad husband, lover, friend, or father. You are the most wonderful man I have ever known." This was not going well. I didn't say anything, but I knew what was coming next was probably going to change my life. "Shane, I'm going to file for divorce. I will be moving out immediately. Your fears about Ben and I are real. We have been having an affair for the past 5 months. He has fallen head over heels in love with me, and we will be married as soon as our divorce is final. We will split everything 50-50ths, but you will keep the house, ranch, and everything here. I will only take my clothes and personal belongings." She stopped for a minute to let me digest what she had just said. "Go on," I said, rather calmly, I might add. I was seething inside. I was also hurting like hell. "I will be filing simply irreconcilable differences in the divorce. We should make this as quick, simple, and painless as possible." With that, she stopped, I guess to give me a chance to talk. I certainly had some things to say. "Carrie, are you in love with Ben? I am fond of him, and I do find him very interesting. I'm sure I will love him in time." "Carrie, does Ben satisfy you sexually more than I do? I mean, is he a better lover? Were you not happy with my ability to please you?" No, Shane, he doesn't even come close. You are a great lover. I have always been satisfied by you. Then I said, have I treated you bad? Are you unhappy with me? I am trying to understand why you're doing this. Why you are breaking up a marriage and a family. I am really confused here, Carrie. Shane, when I am nice to Ben, he buys me really nice things. He loves me so much and likes to show his appreciation. He said if I would marry him, my life would be so easy. I would not have to work, and I would have anything I wanted. I would drive a fancy car, travel the world, have the finest clothes, and eat at fancy restaurants all the time. So, this is about money. You want to trade up for a man who makes a lot of money. Well, let me tell you, Carrie, there is a word for what you are doing, and it starts with AP. Shane, I am not a prostitute, she said as she began to cry. I am really sorry to hurt you like this, but it is something I have to do. I cannot turn down this chance to be a rich man's wife. Carrie, you are hurting me. Do you have any idea how this makes me feel? I have worked as hard as I could for 23 years to give you everything I could, and I'm not just talking material things. I have given you my love, my affection, my friendship, my heart and soul, everything I have to give. I am sorry I didn't make enough money to make you truly happy. I apologize for that disappointment in your life. I need to be alone now, so I will go out to the barn while you pack. I could tell she was feeling terrible about the whole thing. I guess she didn't realize just what kind of pain she was inflicting. All she thought about was her newfound riches. I went to the barn and sat on a bale of hay. All of a sudden, I just lost it. I just sat there and cried. I will tell you that I never cry. My father always told me that men just don't cry. I didn't even cry at my parents' funeral. I felt like shit. What could I have done differently? Was this my fault? This time, I did cry, but it would be the last time I would cry about Carrie. Carrie walked into the barn, took one look at me, then said, "Oh my God, what have I done? Shane, you never cry? Have I hurt you that much?" "Oh Shane, I am so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." "Well, Carrie, let's see. You come home, and out of the blue you tell me you're destroying our marriage, breaking up our family, moving out, filing for divorce, and you have had another man's dick in you for the last 5 months. Oh, and all of this was because I didn't make enough money. To top it off, you tell me you still love me, but apparently love does not mean anything to you anymore. Shane, I have to get going. Ben and I are flying to Paris early in the morning. We will be there for several days. As soon as I get back, I will get the divorce started, so we can get it done as soon as possible. I can see you are in a hurry throw away our 23 years together. Have you thought about what Casey is going to think? I am going to call her tonight. She will understand. Ben has promised to buy her a new Mercedes and pay off the college loans she has. He said he would pay the ones you took out also. No thanks, Carrie. I can pay off the loans I took out. I also have a feeling Casey may not be bought off like you have been. She gave me a funny look but didn't say anything. You better get going, Carrie, but I want you to know that when you walk out that door, that's it. I will never take you back. This has disaster written all over it, so don't come crying to me. Oh, be sure and give your sugar daddy a good blowjob tonight. Maybe he will take you shopping in Paris. I could tell she was really thinking about what I just said. For a minute there, I thought she might change her mind. But then she said, "Goodbye, Shane. I love you, and I will miss you." She turned and walked out the door. I softly said, "I love you too, Carrie." I sat down and cried again. Finally, I pulled myself together and said, "Okay, Shane, time to move on." I turned and looked at my 2 horses and said, "Well, ladies, I guess you are the only females left here. I know I can count on you to remain loyal." I walked over and rubbed both on the mane. They both nodded their heads, then gave me a little nudge. I walked up to my empty house and got myself another beer. I guess it was a little over an hour when Casey called. "Dad, are you okay? I just got off the phone with Mom. Has she gone off the deep end? What the hell is she thinking? She found herself a sugar daddy, and she thinks his riches will be the key to her happiness," I said. "I guess I just couldn't give her everything she wants in life. That's a crock, Dad. She thinks that old creep and his money will make her life complete. She tried to convince me he will be a great stepdad. She told me he would buy me a new car and pay all my college loans. I told her she could take that car and shove it up his ass. I had to laugh. Thank God my little girl saw this for what it was. I told her not to worry, that I would survive. We talked for a while, and she made me feel better. She made me promise to call whenever I needed to talk. She told me that she completely supported me and would never have anything to do with the sugar daddy. After a few beers, I fell asleep on the couch. I had a restless night, awakening several times with horrible dreams. One of the dreams was at the mall. I walked into the women's dressing room and saw Carrie giving Ben a blowjob. She looked up and laughed, then kept on sucking his dick. The funny thing was, it was all of 2 inches long. The next morning, I got a phone call from my old college roommate. "Hey roomie," Jerry said. "We have kept up with each other over the years." Jerry works for the FBI in their fraud division. He was best man at our wedding, and probably my best friend in the world. It had been a couple of months since we had talked. "Hey Jerry, how are you?" I asked. "Pretty good. How about you, Shane?" "Not so good, Jerry. Carrie left me yesterday and wants a divorce. That is kind of why I'm calling Shane. I am in town and need to see you right away. I can be there pretty quick if it is, okay?" "What's this all about, Jerry? How could you know Carrie left me yesterday?" "Well, I didn't actually know that, but I have some stuff to share with you, and I think you will be very interested." "Okay, I will see you shortly." What in the world could Jerry know about all this? This was all getting kind of weird. Now revenge had not crossed my mind yet, but somehow, I had a feeling that it was about to. Jerry arrived about 30 minutes later. I gave him a cup of coffee, and we sat out on my back deck. It was a pretty nice morning. Jerry commented on how peaceful and beautiful everything was. Then he said how sorry he was that my marriage was going to end the way it did. I explained everything to him, but he didn't seem surprised. "Jerry, you seem like you already knew about Carrie and Ben." "Shane, what I am about to tell you is between you and me. I should not be telling you this, but as your friend, I feel like I owe it to you. As far as anyone is concerned, we never had this conversation, and you cannot tell anyone." "Sure, Jerry, this sounds like it is more serious than just a wife leaving her husband." "It is, Shane. It is also official business on my part. I am involved in an operation concerning Benjamin Brockman. We think he has been involved in fraud involving his government contracts. We have reason to believe that he has cheated the U.S. government out of millions of dollars. If so, he will be going down big time. We have been undercover gathering evidence on him for several months now. Another couple of months or so, and I think we will have all the evidence we need to nail his ass to the wall." "Wow, Jerry, this is great. I hate that asshole. I would give anything to see him destroyed. It would serve Carrie right also. How could she be so stupid? She was stupid to leave you for that prick. And because Carrie is his executive secretary, she became a person of interest in this investigation." "Holy shit, Jerry, is Carrie involved in this fraud?" "We don't think so. We can't find any evidence that she knows about his crime. She will be involved though when all this comes down. She is going to be in for a rude awakening," I said. "She thinks she is gaining a very rich new husband and will live happily ever after. In the course of our surveillance, we discovered Carrie's affair with Ben. I was waiting until I had all the proof, then I was going to tell you, Shane. I guess her desire for riches led her to do what she did to you." Jerry opened up his briefcase and pulled out a large envelope. He tossed it to me and said, "Here is plenty of evidence of their affair if you want to use it in your divorce. If anyone asks, you didn't get this from me." I opened the envelope. There were 8 by 10 pictures, emails, and several videos. They were very explicit and clearly showed the two of them having sex. There were also dates and times on everything. It was hard to look at and made me want to cry all over again. I kept my composure and thanked Jerry for what he had done. It was funny though, on all the close-ups of her face during sex, she didn't appear to be enjoying it at all. I saw a lot of faking on her part. I know how she acts when pleased, and I never saw her act anything like that when I made love to her. Another funny thing, Ben really did have a small dick. Jerry said he had to get back to work. He informed Moore that he would be in town a few more days, but he anticipated D-Day with Brockman to be in the near future. "Jerry, why don't we go out to eat tomorrow night? My treat for all you have done for me in this mess." "Sounds great, Shane. My sister Ashley is coming tomorrow. Would it be okay if she came along?" "Little Ashley?" "Of course, it would be okay. I haven't seen her since she was 13 and in braces. She is 36 years old now, Shane, and quite beautiful, I might add. It's ironic, her divorce just became final today. It seems she came home a day early from a business trip and caught her husband in bed with his secretary. I guess we have something in common then. Maybe we can compare notes." She is a partner in a corporate law firm, Jerry said. She is coming here to open up a new office for their firm. I think she is moving here to run the office. Maybe she could help you find a good divorce attorney. I will definitely ask her about that. See you tomorrow. I met Jerry and Ashley at a local Mexican restaurant the next evening. Jerry wasn't kidding about his sister. She was absolutely gorgeous. She gave me a big hug and a kiss on the cheek. While Ashley, what happened to that little 13-year-old with braces and pigtails? She giggled and said, I grew up and became a woman. You used to tease me about my braces. What do you think now? I think you turned out to be one of the most beautiful women I have ever met. During dinner, Ashley and I talked about my situation. Jerry had briefed her on everything, and we agreed that because of the investigation, this would stay top secret between us. Jerry did say that I could release the photos and video. I could just say a PI was used. I told them how Carrie planned on filing the divorce when she got back from Paris. She would use irreconcilable differences. Bullshit, Ashley said. You need to launch a preemptive strike. I know a great family lawyer who will take good care of you. She is one of the best and specializes in adultery divorces. She took my ex-husband to the cleaners. I have her card in my hotel room. We can get it later. We can get started Monday, so that when Carrie gets back from Paris, you can have her served. Things were happening fast, but I do know one thing. I was very impressed with Ashley, and I was also wondering if she would go out with me. Towards the end of dinner, Jerry's phone rang. He walked away from the table, then came back and said he had to leave. He offered to pay, but I reminded him it was my treat. Ashley and I finished our margaritas and got ready to leave. She informed me that the night was young, and if I knew a place where we could go dancing. Sure, I said. It's not far from here. We spent the next 2 hours dancing, drinking beer, and having a great time. To say we hit it off is an understatement. We seemed to be so compatible. I felt so relaxed and content in her arms. We went back to the restaurant to pick up her car. She asked me to follow her to her hotel so she could give me the card from the lawyer she was recommending. I followed her to her room where she took the card out of her bag and gave it to me. Her cell phone is on her card. Call her tomorrow and see if she can see you Monday. I will also call and give her a heads up. She is a good friend of mine, so I'm sure she will accommodate you. Thanks, Ashley. How can I ever repay you? How about this? She spoke. She threw her arms around me and kissed me passionately. I kissed back. We fell on the bed and began to make out like there was no tomorrow. This continued for a few minutes until we both had to come up for air. Wow, Ashley, I wanted to kiss you from the moment I saw you. Me too, Shane. You are incredibly handsome and so sexy. We made out some more, plus our hands started to roam around. She touched my dick on the outside of my jeans. I had the boner of all boners. I played with her tits as my hand went under her blouse. We stopped again and I said, Ashley, maybe we should slow down a little. I know your divorce just became final, and I don't want to take advantage of you in a vulnerable state. Shane, I am a big girl, and I know what I am doing. If anything, I'm probably taking advantage of you. I am so attracted to you, and I hope you are attracted to me. When I caught my husband with his secretary, all I could think of is what's wrong with me. Is this my fault? Then I finally figured it out. Hell, no, this is not my fault. I am young, decent looking, and I think I am sexy. He is the one who is to blame. I hope you don't think you're to blame for Carrie leaving. Like you, I did at first. Last night I just kept thinking, did I cause all of this? Was I a bad husband? Could I not provide all of my wife's needs? After being with you tonight, I realized it wasn't me. I have been a good father, husband, and lover. I have provided everything I possibly could. We kissed some more, but mostly just cuddled on the bed. It really felt comforting being there with her. We woke up the next morning still in each other's arms. I invited her to come to my house for lunch and to go horseback riding. We had a great afternoon, and Ashley loved the horseback riding. Later that afternoon, we wound up on my couch where we heated up again, but it was still only a heavy makeout session. We decided we would continue to see each other and just see what happens. I took off work Monday and met with Julia, the attorney Ashley recommended. I told my story and gave her all the evidence I had. Julia seemed pretty disgusted with my wife's behavior and attitude. She has been practicing for 30 years, so I guess she has seen it all. She said we would file on grounds of adultery and abandonment. We would ask for the house, ranch, and everything associated with it. We had $10,000 in our savings, which we would split. I would keep all the money in our checking account. She was already making her car payment, and her credit card was in her name, so she would keep them in her name. I paid her car and health insurance. Julia instructed me to cancel both as soon as possible. Any credit cards that were in both our names would be canceled. Those were mostly gas cards with no balance. Julia pretty much had all my bases covered. She said we would only use the explicit sex photos and videos if necessary. Julia wanted to know when Carrie would be back from Paris. I told her it was supposed to be Thursday morning. I gave Julia the address that Carrie had left me, in case I needed to forward any mail. Julia said she would be served Thursday morning. She is not going to like the adultery part, but I think she will agree to everything else. She seems satisfied with her new financial situation and seems to want the divorce as quick as possible so she can marry Mr. Brockman, Julia said. I will let her know that I will change the adultery part if she will sign the papers as is, I said. Good idea, said Julia. We just want her to know she did cheat on you. It was about 10:30 a.m. on Thursday morning when my cell phone rang. I didn't have a class going on, so I answered it. It was Carrie, and she seemed pretty upset. Shane, what the hell are these divorce papers I just got served? I thought we agreed that I would file the divorce. No, Carrie, I didn't agree to anything. I'm just trying to give you what you want as quick as possible. What's this adultery and abandonment, Shane? I thought we agreed to irreconcilable differences. Once again, Carrie, I never agreed to anything. Based on what you said, I think you can accept this settlement. You will soon be a rich man's wife. I will change the adultery and abandonment to irreconcilable differences if you will sign the settlement as is. Send me the revised copy, and I will let Ben's lawyer look at it. If he says okay, then I will sign. I called Julia and told her about my conversation with Carrie. It was just as she predicted. She already had the new papers ready to be sent over. I know Ben's lawyer, she said. He is a corporate attorney and has no experience in divorce. He will probably blow it off and tell her to sign. Sure enough, Julia was correct again. Carrie signed the papers, and they were back in Julia's office by Friday afternoon. I stopped by and signed on my way home from work. In 60 days, the divorce would be final. I called Ashley, and we agreed to meet for dinner near her new office. We had a nice dinner and probably talked for about 2 hours. She could tell I needed to talk about everything, and I did. We decided no hanky-panky tonight. We would save up for Saturday night. Later that night, Carrie called. Hi, honey, she said. I just wanted to call and see if you were okay. I informed her that she no longer had the right to use any terms of endearment names for me. I will survive, Carrie. You hurt this old cowboy pretty bad, but it doesn't matter now. You have what you want, and unfortunately, I wasn't what you wanted anymore. Shane, I am so sorry. I did not mean to hurt you. I still love you very much, and I want you to know I will miss you terribly. Yeah, whatever, Carrie. I guess you saw in the settlement that I will be canceling your car and health insurance. I will wait until next Friday, so you can arrange to get covered. Thanks, Shane. Don't worry, Ben will take care of all that. I wasn't worried. I was just letting you know. Well, I guess this is goodbye, Shane. I hope you don't think I am a terrible person for doing this. I just had to do what I had to do. I love you, Shane. At this point, I started to choke up. I know Carrie could tell. My final words were, goodbye, Carrie. I hope you have a nice life with your new man. I hung up before she could say anything else. It was now time to start my new life also, and I had plans for Ashley to be a big part of it. Ashley arrived at my house Saturday night at 6 o'clock. She looked so beautiful and so sexy. Let me describe what I saw. She is about 5 feet 9 inches. She has long blonde hair, long shapely legs, and the most perfect ass I have ever seen. She looked like a goddess if I ever saw one. She has those full shapely lips that I love to kiss. She was wearing this cute little red dress that showed off her figure. It was short, plus showed some cleavage. My tool was already straining against my jeans. We had a nice dinner out on my deck overlooking my ranch. We also had plenty of wine. We ate, we drank, we flirted, and talked for about 2 hours. Finally, she looked at me and said, "Cowboy, if you don't take me to bed soon, I am going to explode." I literally picked her up in my arms and carried her to my bedroom. It didn't take long to get our clothes off and start enjoying each other. Over the next several weeks, Ashley and I spent a lot of time together. I asked her to move in, but she said wait until my divorce was final. She still spent many nights in my bed. About 5 days before my divorce was final, I got a call from Jerry. He said they were just about ready to lower the boom on Brockman and his business. He explained that everything Brockman had or owned would be seized. It had taken a while, but they had plenty of hard, fast evidence and witnesses against him. He would be going to prison for a long time. What about Carrie? I asked. She will be brought in for questioning, but it looks like she is clean. She will be losing her sugar daddy, though. He won't have a pot to pee in when we're done. She is going to have a hard time, Shane. I guess that is her problem, Jerry. Shane, I want you to know that my sister is so happy with her relationship with you. She was so depressed after her divorce. Is there any chance you might be my brother-in-law someday? I hope so, Jerry. I guess it depends if she wants me or not. I will tell you that I have fallen in love with your sister. She loves you too, Shane. I will let you know when we move in on Brockman. I bet you get a call from Carrie. It was Friday, and I was looking forward to my weekend with Ashley. It was also the day I was no longer married to Carrie. I was on my way home from work when I stopped off at a convenience store. I needed some beer for the weekend. Now you can call what happened next fate, luck, justice, or whatever, but it was really strange. I got a call from Carrie. She wanted to see me. I agreed to meet her for lunch. I asked Ashley to go, but she knew what it was about and decided not to. She trusted me to deal with it. I had taken off all week from work. I was going to resign as soon as they found someone to take my place. We were also busy moving Ashley in with me. Carrie and I met at a nice restaurant downtown. It was my suggestion. I couldn't believe it when I saw her. She had gained some weight and, frankly, didn't look good. I'm sure the last few days had been traumatic. It had been all over the news, and her name had been mentioned on several occasions. There was even a report of her being Brockman's mistress. I noticed some people staring and pointing as she walked in. We decided to sit outside in an open area. We got a table away from everyone so we could talk. We started with some small talk, but it wasn't long before she started to cry. Shane, I made the biggest mistake of my life leaving you. I'm not just saying that because Ben got arrested. I realized it a few weeks after I moved in with Ben. At first it was fun, but the money got old quick. I wasn't happy, and I wanted to throw up every time I had to have sex with him. I was not expecting this. I figured that money was all that mattered the way she left me. Carrie went on. I also began to feel so guilty at what I had done to you and Casey. Casey will barely even speak to me. You didn't deserve that, Shane. You were a good husband, and you were a good provider. I had everything I needed. I just didn't realize it. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you saying that, but you did what you did because you weren't completely happy with me. I was happy with you, Shane. I let that old goat get to me. I let him seduce me, then talk me into dumping you for him and all his money. The night before he was arrested, he made me let him fuck me in my ass. He is a disgusting, perverted old man. I hope he rots in jail. I kind of wanted to laugh, but I didn't. Where is this going, Carrie? What do you want from me? She looked up with tears in her eyes and said, Please take me back, Shane. I love you, and I miss you terribly. I miss my home, the ranch, the horses, and everything we always did together. I will do anything to make this up to you. Carrie, do you really miss me? Or is this because you have no money, home, or job? I am flat broke, Shane, with no place to go, but I do miss you so much. I want things to go back the way they were. Carrie, I told you when you walked out that door, this was it. There will be no turning back, and your leaving would be permanent. I know, Shane, but I need you so bad. I am at the end of my rope. I have no one else to turn to. I'm sorry, Carrie. I have met someone else, and we are in love with each other. The day will come when we will be married. We are not in any hurry because we have both been burned by our spouses. Carrie looked like she was hit by a truck. Tears were pouring down her cheeks. I guess she never considered that I would move on also. She just sat there crying. I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Yes, I did think about revenge when she left, but now I wanted to help her. Is there anything I can do to help you get back on your feet, Carrie? She looked up and said, I guess I was dreaming to even think you would take me back. I don't blame you. I wouldn't take me back either. If you could find it in your heart to maybe loan me a little money until I find a job and get a place of my own. I am staying with a friend right now, but I need to get my own apartment or something. How much do you need, Carrie? If you could loan me $5,000, I will start paying you back as soon as I get a job. The waiter brought our food. Carrie started eating, but I wasn't very hungry. I thought for a minute while I watched her eat. I reached in my pocket and pulled out a checkbook. I wrote out a check and handed it to her folded up. I said, "Carrie, this should help you get a new start. You are a good secretary, so you should be able to find a job. Let me know if you don't, and I will see what I can do. I'm sorry it all turned out this way. I wanted to grow old with you, hold hands when Casey said her wedding vows, watch our grandkids as they took their first horseback ride, and be buried next to you on our ranch. I guess it wasn't meant to be." I got up and walked out of the restaurant. I left a $100 bill on the table to cover the bill and tip. I did glance back as she opened up the check. Her expression was one of disbelief. She looked up, I looked back, and she still was shocked. I had written her a check for "fuck you." I smiled and left. She watched me from the deck as I got in my car. Ashley moved in, and we were married the following spring. Jerry was the best man, and Casey was maid of honor. They had become best of friends. We had a Vegas wedding at Caesar's Palace. We invited a few friends and family to the wedding and reception. We had our reception in our honeymoon suite. Everyone had a great time. I won over $200,000 on a progressive slot machine. I guess I have been cursed to accumulate a lot of money through gambling. Carrie wasn't invited, but she read the announcement in the local paper. Carrie did find a job and a place to live. She never paid back the money, and I didn't expect her to. I hear she is dating a high school English teacher. I hope it works out for her. Ben Brockman was tried and convicted of federal crimes. Everything he owned was seized to pay back the money he defrauded from the federal government. He will be spending a very long time in a federal prison. Hey, maybe you will find someone he can do in the ass.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.